Hello everyone, Dany here with a review of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the latest entry in the J.K. Rowling created Harry Potter Wizarding World cinematic universe. Hold on one second. Much better. Okay, so first off, I want to say I have never read a Harry Potter book, nor did I read this book. So I pretty much went in blind. And what did I think of the movie? I thought it was great. I thought it was very enjoyable. There was a lot of humor. The characters were great at carrying the movie forward. I really believed their relationships and their motivations and their emotions. I really bought into them. So for the characters, I thought Newt Scamander was a very awkward person, much like myself. I know a thing or two about being awkward. He was an animal lover. He was very motivated to take care of his animals as if he loved them like they were his family. The next character, Kowalski, he was kind of like a bumbling New Yorker, like from that time period. He used a lot of lingo and said "yous," for example, instead of "you." He was great. I also really like Queenie. She was, very nice. She had a great personality, and I really liked her relationship with Kowalski. I felt like it was very nice. It was, kind of, love at first sight type romance, instead of the, usual building up of it. Our villain, Graves, played by Colin Farrell, I feel like was kind of underwhelming, and going into the movie, I felt like that was going to be the case. Like usually how movies are, villains aren't really, the main focus. It's usually the protagonist so that you can build them up and give them personality and all that kind of stuff. And that's what happens here. And it works well. I feel like Graves, as the villain, he's more of a physical threat where, he's using magic to terrorize people and, just essentially get his way. Now onto the costumes, the makeup, and the CGI and stuff like that. I feel like the costumes really fit the time period and were really awesome, like from the main characters to even background characters. Like for example, you'll see the Wizarding Council where they'll have wizards from around the world wearing different, cultured looks for wizards. And even when they're in New York, with the Muggles or the Nomads, as, wizards call them in America, they also looked, accurate to the time period, and as for makeup, it was very minimal. I feel like, it's the usual, like put dirt on the face and some blood. Kowalski had some blood on him due to an animal-related incident. And the CGI I thought was really great, the way they recreated New York City for the time. The creatures were very creative and led to some very fun and exciting action sequences. I really do believe, even the title says it, Fantastic Beasts. I really believe that the creatures in this film are its saving grace, or its focus, because it is called Fantastic Beasts. And I do really like how the creatures resemble real-life creatures, like for example birds and monkeys and stuff like that. And the detail on these creatures, like for example with those birds, you'll see like scratches on the beak and the shining of the feathers, and it's just so much detail is put into them. It's just great. And they'll have different powers, like for example one will be able to fit a lot of items inside of them. The acting in the movie is solid. It's pretty great. because of the characters' relationships, it leads to a lot of emotional moments that don't really choke you up, but I would say there is a moment in the movie where I got chills toward the end during the final confrontation with Newt and the villain. That got me a tiny bit. There's also a twist revealed at the end that I didn't see coming because of how naive I can be, but a lot of you might see coming because, you know, other people tend to be better at that stuff than I am. Overall, the effects were great, the ideas were great in the film, it was very creative, exciting, I was invested all the way through, even when there were slow parts, I, was watching, I was paying attention, and I was really into it. Some of the negatives, I feel like, if you never read the book or never watched a Harry Potter movie, you may be confused because of some of the lingo and, how you may be expected to know some things you might not going in otherwise. But I do want to say that if you haven't watched the Harry Potter movie or read the books, you could totally go into this movie. It's totally accessible in that way. That, you have new characters, you have a new setting, you could just go in, from the gate and just start watching and, know what's going on. I feel like also the villain was bland, nothing too game-changing there. But that's fine because, again, I feel like the focus was on the protagonist and the villain was there just for stakes. Some of the negatives, I feel like if you never read the book or never watched a Harry Potter movie, you may be confused because of some of the lingo and, how you may be expected to know some things you might not going in otherwise. But I do want to say that if you haven't watched the Harry Potter movie or read the books, you could totally go into this movie. It's totally accessible in that way. That, you have new characters, you have a new setting, you could just go in, from the gate and just start watching and, know what's going on. I feel like also the villain was bland, nothing too game-changing there. But that's fine because, again, I feel like the focus was on the protagonist and the villain was there just for stakes. Overall, I feel like this was really one of the best movies of the year. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of laughter. There was a lot of, somber moments where you were just watching and you were invested in what was going on. And if they do turn this into a franchise, that part I'm confused about. I don't know if this is just a one-off thing or if they will continue to make Fantastic Beasts movies or Harry Potter spin-offs in general. I'm down for that. I mean, if it turns out like this movie was really good. Again, really enjoyable, and I had a good time all the way through. And I highly recommend seeing it. Also, as for my channel, I will be uploading a review of Moana next week, so please be on the lookout for that. Like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that good stuff if you want. And I will see you guys in the next review. Bye.